Well, he is known for inspiring people to pursue their dreams, overcome challenges, tackle obstacles, embrace change, and smile. Allan Karl is a world traveler, adventurer, photographer, and author, and those are just some of his titles.
Just a few. Allan joins us today to talk about his new book, Forks, A Quest for Culture, Cuisine, and Connection, in which he writes about his 3-year motorcycle adventure around the world. Karl, welcome to our studio, and what a beautiful book you put together.
Oh my goodness, the pictures, the stories, it's fabulous. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
So tell us, you went 62,000 miles, 5 continents, 35 countries. How did you decide where you were going to go on this adventure?
Well, I spent a lot of time initially planning, probably about 2 years, certainly not every day, but thinking and planning about it. And originally I had a wild, great plan to go, but as things do, you have to be flexible. And I certainly found myself, I wanted to go to South America, I wanted to go to Africa, I wanted to go to the Middle East. And my idea was to go to places, I've always been a traveler, but I wanted to go to places that often we don't want to go to because maybe we're afraid, or
Syria,
Sudan.
Yeah, you had some trouble there too, right?
I did. It's very difficult for an American to get a visa into Sudan, for example, which is the largest country in all of Africa in terms of miles. We don't have diplomatic relations there, so I went through Ethiopia, and they said, no, we're not going to let you in. So with persistence, patience, and perseverance, I like to say, I kept going back, the 3 Ps. I kept going back to the embassy in Ethiopia and finally convinced them to let me in. But for the largest country in all of Africa, they gave me only 7 days. What they call a transit visa. We'll let you pass through. Syria is similar. They don't really allow travelers to acquire a visa at the border. You're required to get a visa at the embassy in your own country. So when they handed me the phone number and website for the Syrian embassy in Washington, D.C., I said, I can't go back there.
Yeah.
But I eventually convinced them too.
Well, you were on a BMW, which is the motorcycle that I ride. We have different models, but you wrecked it once, right? You had one crash, a fairly notable crash, broke something, right?
Yeah. You know, thanks for the BMW being very durable. It survived, but my leg. Yeah, I was on a muddy road in the Altiplano, high in the Andes of Bolivia, and what happened here is the road was very muddy. It rained the night before, and my front tire stuck in the mud, my rear tire slid out. I fell in the mud. My motorcycle, 400 pounds, and I'm carrying about 200 pounds of all my earthly belongings. And it landed on my leg and crushed it and broke it.
What did you do? How did you get to a hospital? Where was the nearest emergency room?
I was about 200 miles from a hospital. It was the closest city. I was on my way to the Salar de Uyuni. It's the largest salt flat in the world. It's about 4,000 miles, the size of Delaware. So you got to travel way out. The closest city is Potosi. It's actually the highest city in the world. And eventually I found somebody to give me a ride back to, an ambulance, which was like an old Chevy Suburban, probably 20 years old, bad suspension and all. You can imagine my leg.
What did you do with the bike? Where did you park the bike and the gear?
So the bike stayed in this little, out back place that I broke my leg, and eventually, through the miracles of the internet and connecting with people, which is a big part of what I write about, I managed to get that bike moved back to Potosi, where a man held it for several months while I came back to the United States, repaired my leg, physical therapy, and got back on the road. And most people thought the bike's never going to be there when you're back, Allan.
Right.
But it was there waiting for me, and I continued.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
Well, it's really interesting that you chose to focus about food. There's so many things you could choose to focus on. Why food?
Well, originally when I came back, I knew I wanted to share the experiences I had, and I set out to actually do more of a memoir. But what I realized is that really to experience the world like I did, you need to see it in pictures. You need to feel it in stories of connection, which would be the memoir. And we need to taste the flavors of the food. Where do we connect with people usually? Over good food and good drink. So that was super important. And it's important, I think, for all of us to continue to try new things, especially when you travel to a new country. Try different foods. Don't go looking for a hamburger.
And you mentioned connecting with people. That's a huge part of this book. Were you surprised, Allan, at how receptive people were to you, how easily you made friends, and how few issues you had with other cultures, really?
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting, particularly when you travel alone. You tend to be more open and approachable, and also, you know, if you're in a jam, you tend to look for somebody, locals, that can help you. And there's no question that notion, the kindness of strangers. If I was ever lost, lonely, or hungry, you know, I'd just turn around, and someone was always there, and eager to help and be friendly and curious. As much as I was curious about their culture, how curious they were about me and what I was doing.
Wow. So what's next?
What's next? Yeah, exactly.
My goodness.
How do you top that?
You know, I have to tell you that my trip, after 3 years, you think, okay, that was enough. I really had planned to go through Iran and Pakistan. Okay, and I know, okay, what are you saying, Alan?
Wow.
Well, I've heard so many great things. So the Iranians was one place the 3 Ps didn't work. I could not get a visa to go in there. So I hope that things change and I'm able to go meet the people of Iran, travel into Pakistan and into Nepal.
Wow.
Maybe they'll read the book and figure, hey,
this guy's not so bad.
let's take him in.
Well, it's a fascinating story. Thank you so much, Alan.
Good stuff.
For more on Alan's book, Forks, A Quest for Culture, Cuisine, and Connection, visit our website, kdka.com/PTL. We have a link there. And Alan is signing his book. It's this weekend at Narcisse's Winery in Gibsonia, so be sure to stop by and meet with him there.